What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. I'm just setting some stuff up here and waiting for some more people to pop in. I am going to continue working on our little froggy boy here that we were working on this morning. And I've done a couple things since then. And before I jump in here, I'll just quick save real fast, and I'll show you some of that stuff that I've added here thus far. All right. What's going on? 3 a.m. Nice, nice. So let's look here at a couple of things that I've done since our stream this morning. So we were working on the boots earlier. Let me turn on perspective here. And I've kind of got them in a little bit more of a finished place right now. Got most of the geometry in there, parts and pieces, all that jazz. I would like to add a little bit of asymmetry to the form before I get into posing, but I'm not going to focus on the boots during the stream anymore. We're going to continue on to some of these other things. So I've done a little bit with the pants, just some light poly painting. Looks dope, thank you. Appreciate it, man. I've done a little, what did I do? What did I do on the hat? I added the trim around the edge, that's right. A couple of the trim pieces, and then just a quick little poly paint stuff with the star, just using our Alpha 10 in here. Drag rectangle. And really that's about it. Just a couple other pieces as well, just mirroring and duplicating some geometry. It's gonna be the basis for that piece, but what I want to focus on next is a little bit more on the head. So mirroring some of that geometry that we got up there, or, I'm sorry, merging, not mirroring. And also I started to put in a little piece for the eyes here. This is just a cube that I have that's doing a negative boolean up there. So that's just subtracting from that eye, and then I have live boolean on so that we can see what that looks like. And we will continue to mess with that for a little bit here. But some poly painting on the eyes probably as well. And again, I want to take this ring here of geometry and merge that down into the head, and kind of start making some of this a little bit more final. So let's go ahead and keep doing that. I'm gonna hide all of our hat geometry. Show you guys a little trick here. Creating a start group, and then coming down to the head and creating another start group. So this is considered one large group here, all of these subtools, all 5 of them. I can turn on auto collapse and it'll collapse that for me. I don't need to do that though. And if I hide this poly group, or this subtool, sorry, it's gonna hide that entire start group that I just made there. So that's a really quick way where I can hide all of that and kind of keep that in a nice little group. And then for the head, I can come down to maybe around the scarf neck region. Come here, kind of create some different start groups for stuff, and that'll help just kind of keep it together. And I'll do one here for the arms. We'll just make it a little bit easier for organization purposes. I don't really care about naming my subtools. I only name them if I'm exporting them for printing or for something else. Let's see here. So pretty much what I do is I organize from top to bottom. So if I just turn on solo mode, you can see as I step up, we're gonna go from the bottom all the way up. So that's just kind of how I organize stuff, so that I can easily find it in the list. Top of the character, bottom of the character, top of the list, bottom of the list. Makes sense to me? So that's how I like to organize stuff. Again, the names of your subtools, they don't really matter. Not super important. So for our eye, I think I would like to move this in a little bit more along this axis. And there's a lot of different ways I can do this. I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. I was kind of playing around with a bunch of different ideas, but I decided on using a live boolean here. But there's a few other ways I could do it. I was thinking about slicing slicing the eye with my slice curve brush. So that could also work. These are too thick, we need to make them a little bit more thin. So let's try that. And 1 second here. Alright. I'm just using my transpose tool, try to thin out that piece of geometry in there. I think that's pretty close to the correct shape that we're looking for. Can even use, since this is just a floating piece of geometry, if I wanted to rotate the eyes more towards the front, I could do that pretty easily. So they're not kind of just staring out into space. If I wanted to make them more forward facing, which I kind of do. And I'm just going to kind of play with their position a little bit more here to figure out where I want them to go. And once we get into posing and all that, we can probably make a few changes here as well. I'm not really sure. I probably won't subtract this geometry. I'll probably just kind of hold on to it and keep the live boolean there, and then subtract that once I kind of finalize how I want the eyes to look. But we can also come through here. I think what I did previously with our eyes, let's see. Oh, turn that off. Yeah, I kind of blended between these two colors. But we could also do a little bit of a gradient coming down through here. A few different options for how we can do that. But the gradient option over here, in my opinion, isn't that great for doing stuff like this. As you can see, it does a gradient for this type of brush. You can do some stuff with some different alphas to kind of get it to work a little bit better, but I think we're gonna kind of manually do this here. So I'm just gonna fill my object with this color, primary purple color there. Switch to our lower half, and this has a pretty hard transition in the color there. It's like pretty much just a straight line. And I could do that, I don't know. Let's see what it looks like first, and then kind of decide from there. I would kind of prefer to blend it at least a little. So I could do a really hard line. I don't think I like that though. Let's try to soften it just a wee bit. I can step down my subdivs, makes that mask up. Whoops, cleared it on accident. Makes that mask a little bit softer. And then step back up, and we can apply it that way. Get the other side too. And that makes for a little bit nicer of a transition between those two colors. And you know, I don't know if the effect really comes across here. This is more of, I think, their attempt at like creating some lighting. So I think what I would really prefer to do is transition these even harder. One thing you don't want to do when applying poly paint, and this can become apparent really quick, you don't want to apply your poly paint at anything other than your highest subdivision level, because you will get artifacts in your poly paint. And I'm already actually starting to get some. It might be really hard for you guys to see on stream, but I can see a couple of them here, right around here already. So let me apply some poly paint at a really low subdiv down here, and then step up, and now you should be able to see those artifacts really apparently. Like if you can see the stair stepping that's happening right here. So that's the kind of stuff, yeah, all that. That's the kind of stuff we want to avoid, if at all possible. So we'll go up to our highest subdivision after creating our mask, and you can still actually get these artifacts in your highest subdiv depending on how your mask is looking. So you just want to be careful and aware of that. And there are some ways we can get around that a little bit. But this way I can kind of make that gradient a lot softer of a transition, which I think that looks a lot better. I think it's a cooler look as well, just in general. So what I want to do is just come in here and look for any weird artifacts that I'm going to find. I really don't see that many just because we were careful there with how we did that. But if you did see any artifacts, what you could do is take your RGB intensity on your standard brush, whatever you're going to paint with, and come through here and find somewhere where you might have an artifact. Hold the C key. The C key lets you sample any color, literally any color in ZBrush. See my active color over there? So sampling, you can see as I swipe up and down that gradates a little bit. So you just want to press the C key close to where you want to make that correction and gently stroke around there. Clean it up a little bit. But I think that looks pretty good. They also have some little highlights painted in here, which we could maybe mess with doing something like that. I think I'm gonna leave the highlights off for now though. We might mess with some different materials. Toy plastic is what I like to use for eyes typically. And it looks like some other stuff is kind of taking on that material as well in the mouth. My tongue is messed up. It's not a problem. Let me apply this real quick. Apply that material. So toy plastic, I think it works pretty well for most eyes, and most people use it for their characters' eyes. I don't know. I don't think it looks bad. I couldn't care either way. I don't mind hard painting in highlights as well, but since he's got such large eyes, let's leave it off for now, and we'll mess with it a little bit later and try to figure out what we want to do. If you look in here, in that crack, you can see that the specular highlight is not showing up in there, and that is because I have the Skin Shade 4 material applied on this piece. But if I were to switch this to toy plastic, let me make sure that's all the way up. You can start to see those specular highlights in there that are catching. I don't really want that though. So make that go away, apply that material, and we'll keep this material on here for now, and we'll mess with the eyes a little bit more later. And next I want to kind of start merging these lids into our head. This looks awesome. I'm just wondering, is it possible to reach that exaggerated cartoony look? Yeah, absolutely. When translating 2D into 3D, it's often really difficult, just because a lot of stuff that happens in 2D can't naturally happen in 3D. There's definitely a lot of problems here that just physically can't exist in 3D, but I think there are some minor things that we can tweak. For instance, the wand and the scarf are just kind of physically in front of the hat. And if you look, the scarf is behind him, but in front of the hat. The wand for where it would be for the size and scale of the hat. If I turn on my hat here, looking at the hat, the hand and the wand is going to have to be pretty far forward, and he's got his arm kind of going straight up in the air. So we'll figure this stuff out as we go, and I'll talk about some of the problems as we come across them and how I can fix them. But yes, we can absolutely reach this exaggerated cartoony look, for sure. I think things are looking good thus far, but one of the things that is really going to get this to the next level is once we start posing. So let's go ahead and merge down these lids, this piece here. And just for good measure, I am going to push these in. This geometry was screwing with me a little bit earlier, and I just want this to be as clean as possible, even though this is like never going to be seen in there. Either way, just a preference. I like to keep things as clean as I can make them. Alright, And a quick Dynamesh on this. Dry resolution of 500. It's giving me 1,000,000 active points. I just want to look at some of this stuff, see how it's doing. Try a little bit of a higher Dynamesh here. Alright, want that connecting in there. That's a little bit better. More happy with that. Even though it is a higher poly count. It's not a problem though. The only purpose for merging this is so that I can kind of start working on the transition between these two pieces. And then from there, I can start to clean it up a little bit more. Turn off live boolean while I sculpt. Live boolean just kind of makes stuff lag a little bit more than it should. Alright. Kind of just looking at his eyelid right now. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do here. I'm actually not going to transition that edge quite as much. I'm looking at this shadow in particular. I'm gonna have to mess with that form. There's also some stuff I want to do with the mouth. Start working on those corrections. And just kind of focus on the face for a minute. I'm just gonna turn those off so they're not in the way. And let's hide everything except our head right now. We can turn this on too. And I kind of want to figure out this scarf as well a little bit more. But honestly, we're making good progress here, and I think we could be on to posing pretty soon. Because I'm probably not gonna make this kind of stuff until after I break symmetry. Maybe not. I could do an insert curve mesh and kind of have that repeating form. I haven't really decided yet. I think it's just going to be a matter of playing with it and figuring out what's going to be easiest. I think I might try it once in with symmetry on before we pose, and then kind of go from there a little bit. I want to add a bevel around the edge of all my pieces here to kind of soften this form. So bevel, edge loop complete. I just want a really tight beveled edge like that, so that it can help retain that form. Come through here, and we're just going to do this to everything. And that looks like it retained it pretty well through everything, except for our corners. So I'm just going to come through and probably just manually crease a singular edge. Maybe not. Ooh, actually. Not really cooperating and doing what we want there. I'm gonna take this polygon. I could try to bevel this edge loop. It's not gonna work though, I can tell you right now. So instead what I'm going to do is manually bevel this polygon. And it's kind of rounding it out a little bit more than I wanted still. So So probably what I will do is add some temporary creases in here. And once I step up and subdivide, I can come through and smooth that out. So I just want to crease these edges manually. Start to see what this is going to look like. I'm just trying to get it to hold that form when I use my smooth modifier, just like that. In here, it's really not that big of a deal. None of that stuff is going to be seen. This is really the only one that matters out here. I just want it to stay square long enough. Another thing we wanted to do was insert a poly loop around here. We don't want that creased though. And with that, you can start to add some curve in here. And you can see that that's a little concave there, and then convex on that underside. So we can play with all this. Mainly though, I kind of want to focus on how it's coming up to the chin there. And we'll look at that more in just a bit. But this is going to help with that, adding that form. Second live in one day, that's right. Yeah, I said I'd be, maybe you weren't around towards the end. I was saying I'd get on later. But yeah, we're working more. Trying to get as much done here as we can. I could probably push this pretty far to really kind of try to push that form in there. And then coming down, we got that concavity on the opposite side, so kind of tucking in here. Really just trying to figure out the flow of this geometry. We're getting there. A little bit more. Pull that out. Push in. Alright. My quick saves are taking a pretty long time. That's really just because I'm saving my undo history right now. I'm thinking that I've probably saved enough. I think what I'm gonna do, so I'm saving my undo history right now up here, and that saves on quick saves and if I save the project. I don't recommend you save project files though. I recommend you save ZTools. I'm only saving this because I want the undos, and I only want them so that I can record a movie later, a time lapse. I also need that gradient off. I think this is at a good enough point. So let me go ahead and do a save as project file. Just really quick here. It'll take just as long as that quick save. And then I can delete my undos and kind of start fresh here, and the quick saves will go really, really quick. It'll actually be a quick save. Then we won't have to wait for that every single, I think it's set to 10 or 20 minutes right now. I can't remember my default. I think it's 20. 20 minutes is like just long enough to where if you lose all that, like if you're just at that 19 minute and then everything crashes, it's like not the end of the world. It sucks a little, but it's not quite as interfering. Let me save as a ZTool and Wibbit. I'll call him Wibbit 1. Then I'll load this back up here. So file, undo history, we're going to be getting rid of all of those. So just kill ZBrush. And then I can open up that ZTool. If I can find my folder, there she goes. Load that up. this is the first time a streamer reads my comment. Just want to say that I did my first face sculpt following your tutorials. That's awesome, man. That's exactly why I made them. So I hope they have been helpful. Using the female model as a reference is a really good idea. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. Skin shade 4, back on that. So you can see my material here is applying to my polypaint data. That is because I've dynameshed these, and it's kind of recognizing the polypaint data, but it's not remembering the material data that's stored on that. So it gets a little wonky there. It's not a big deal though. But now I can kind of restart saving my undos. You can see I don't have any undos on anything here. If I were to make a change, you could see that there's now one undo there, and now we can start fresh without having to worry about so much quick time or quick save time. All right. Now where were we? Oh, we got to load back our little reference image there really fast here. Throw this back into Spotlight. Set up our reference image. I probably should have done that off a stream, but that didn't take that long. Alright. So, trying to line up this scarf, figure that out a little bit better. Tuck in certain areas, pull up in others, trying to get it pressed up against the face, so it's kind of hugging it a little bit better than what we have right now. It's kind of pretty floaty, doesn't feel very incorporated with the character. Kind of feels like he's not wearing it, more like it's just floating. So the more we can get that to interact with the face and kind of line up really good, the better off we're going to be. Dude, this music is freaking hype. Like, I feel like I'm playing a fighting game. Sculpt the frog. Or DDR, like Sculpt to the beat. Can somebody make a ZBrush Sculpt to the beat game, please? This would be like an expert level song, I feel like. Go crazy. Try to make my strokes count so that I don't have to make quite as many. Up here we got like 36-ish strokes, so it doesn't take that many to make major changes. And it shouldn't. The less you can do, the better, I think. Should try to aim for less. Oh, that is the same geometry. Let's try to fix that. I was trying to do this earlier and get some like tuck in on the bottom to like taper it in. I don't think we did quite enough. That's a little bit better though. I was just looking too large. That's quite a bit better, actually. Continue to kind of do that. And just kind of look at how this is playing off of that geometry. Our eyes. Alright. I had a really bad hangnail yesterday, and I just peeled it and it kept peeling back and going and going and going back. Oh, it was so painful. It hurt so bad. And it keeps bothering me right now. So these, I wasn't going to worry about them until I did posing. So I probably don't want to worry about them too much quite yet. I just don't want to forget about them until too late. Alright, so looking at our head and our eyes, going back to this and how this is going to blend in here. And I just kind of dynameshed these together at the start of the stream. So there's still some cleanup that needs to be done around here. I think they're looking pretty good though, pretty close to what we want. But a quick remesh so that I can soften some of this form transition is really going to help out. So let's look at that. In terms of final form though, we are pretty close here. I'm a little worried about the mouth here. And the reason for that is this corner. I tried to capture that a little bit, but if I try to project on this, it's really gonna F up everything. It's not gonna work. I'm gonna try to really get in here. So I'm just doing a quick slice through the corner of the mouth there. I'm trying to get two really clean poly groups. And that's slicing. Give it a sec. Let's see how close that was. Okay, I think that's pretty good for what we want. You can see that it's screwed up on the other side though. If we look at the poly group there. Let me turn off line. You can see that that's messed up. That's actually okay, because I'm just going to mirror and weld it. Doesn't really matter. So I got really confused there because the other geometry was showing underneath that. I was like, why is that adding additional polygroups? So we just mirror and welded that slice, so I stopped it about halfway. I just want to make sure that it's clean all the way through. It is. In the back as well. Yep, looks good enough. So from here, I can, essentially the process is to just duplicate your geometry. Come through here, I am going to set our target ZRemesh at 5K. I want to try to make sure that there's enough polygons and maybe get something in between the mouth here. Make sure that in ZRemesher, keep groups is turned on. It's not on by default. And then just ZRemesh away. So this is going to hit around 10K for the head. That's a little bit higher than what we need, but I'm just trying to get some extra polys in there, like I said, for the corners of the mouth. So that when I go to project here, we're not getting too many issues, but I think that there's still going to be some cleanup to do. We'll see what it does. There might be some other solutions for how we can clean this up. So that's pretty bad. It's not exactly what we want. Dynamesh and ZRemesher do really bad with some tight stuff like this. Dynamesh, it doesn't really matter. ZRemesher and projecting has some serious trouble. Let's just see what this looks like real quick, since we took the time to do it. I have a feeling it's not going to be ideal though. So I'm just kind of stepping up my subdivision levels and reprojecting that form. It's actually not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I am getting some streaming issues though, probably because of the calculation time there. I'm actually pretty surprised by how well that did. Let's zoom in here really good. Real good lag. All right, that's not bad at all. We can clean that up a little bit. There's some stretching, but that is unavoidable unless we're just straight up dynameshing, which I really want that low poly stuff. So for us currently it is unavoidable, but really not hard to clean up. I am pleasantly surprised. Try to clean up that corner a little bit and delete that old geometry. And now I can kind of step through my subdivs here and clean up some of these transitions a little bit better. Output low on YouTube. OBS is saying things are good. I think my stream just kind of lags behind a little bit, but let me know if you guys can still see me. Make sure everything's still okay. I think YouTube's stream health option lags behind quite a bit. Not positive though. It's impossible to tell. That is why I need your input. Alright, so looking at this here, it's just not that strong of a shadow in the reference that we're looking at compared to what we got. So I just want to come through and try to figure out how we can blend this a little bit. I'm going to start off using my alternative smooth, which acts more as an averaging of the area. Kind of helps normalize it. So I'm going to try to use that a little bit. And of course the way you do that is start smoothing and then let go the shift key while you are smoothing without lifting up your pen. And I'm just kind of coming through and trying to blend that edge even more with a couple different brushes here. Standard brush, or I'm sorry, not the standard brush, the trim dynamic, my third brush down here, being the main one. I feel like I'm Bob Ross right now. Just chill stream, talk through how you're painting those happy little eyes. The Bob Ross of the digital age. I feel like the intention of Bob Ross's show was so that you could kind of follow along though. You absolutely, could follow along with this stuff, I think. I think you might have to know ZBrush at least enough though. Know most of the tools. At least most of the tools that I'm using. Accidentally went back into edit, or turned off edit mode there. Very rare that that happens for me anymore. The read that I'm getting right now is that this is just a lot more flat. I have it pretty rounded. Just wondering, kind of just want to play with this a little bit, experiment. Experimente, see what we can do with a little bit of form change. Not a ton, but honestly I don't think a lot is really necessary. This might help blend that shape a little bit better too. Just kind of using the mask lasso there and a large move brush. Let's make this a bit smaller. Actually, I think I'll have to pull that out. Yeah. Okay. Trying to figure out why that shape was happening there. We cool, we cool. There we go. The forehead is squashed. It's got a little bit of some roundness up here in the concept. Head's tilted back a little. We might be able to find a little bit of a better angle. We can, I think, mess with that. I did notice that as well. Wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do that. I think we can maybe just very quickly make a quick mask and do some pulling, some pushing and pulling with our move brush again. Just want to make sure that I got these eyes in a decent spot there as we continue to maybe try to play with these eyelids a little bit more. Alright, so let's look here. Grab our mask tool, mask lasso, just to grab off those eyes, and we'll kind of follow that back here. And on the forehead, we can get a little bit of some extra curve in there, just so that we have a little bit more of that angle. And then I kind of want to rotate a little bit and kind of follow that back so we can kind of get that a little bit more from every possible angle. And then we can kind of come through here and build up that transitional form as it kind of blends into there, into the eye a little bit more, a little bit better. Start to clean this up. Trying to keep that round shape in there. Could probably use even a little bit more. I don't think it would hurt. Quick little pull up from the front and side. Definitely looking better. As we continue to try to get our head to look more close to our reference. What's going on, Hudman? Welcome back to the stream. I feel like you're a man now. I can't call you Hud Boy anymore. You have progressed into true manhood. Try to blend that shape. Just trying to get rid of some of the harsher shadows that we can see under the eyelids. Another pump and jam. Gee. Falling by Nior. Goodbye. Goodbye, Nior. Hello. Pixel Minute Games. Or Abstraction. You wish you had progressed into adulthood, into manhood, manliness, manlyhoodity, manhoodity. That's a thing, right? We get in here a little bit closer. I'm just trying to be really careful. I don't want to destroy too much. You gotta be so careful with your smooth brushes. You gotta be so careful with all your brushes, but now that we're at this kind of level, I just don't want to knock everything down to the ground level. I mean, it could, in just seconds, you know, I can destroy a ton of stuff there. Like, that sucks. That's all gone now. We don't want that. Pierce says, almost as big as his head, like the wrap around the neck. Like the wrap around the neck, I mean. I believe you are saying that his scarf is almost as big as his head, if I am correct. We can look at scaling, but in perspective here, as this comes out. I'll grab my transpose tool. I was looking at this earlier. See how that scarf kind of lines up with the eye there on this side? Average that out a little bit more with the middle of the eye. So for us, right now, I have it going to about where the middle of the eye would be. I think we could stand to move that out a little bit more as we kind of play with the line here. I haven't really concreted this shape here as that kind of curves in and tucks up under the scarf, and you can see for us we have it up over, or the scarf is tucked under that, so we want to look at that as well. Yep, that's one of the things that we're looking at right now, actually, how the scarf is playing with the head here. Right now, I'm going to finish blending these eyes, and then we can take a look at that. And attempt, use our pinch brush just a little bit here. We're getting a lot of lag on the pinch brush, and that's because live boolean is active. And live boolean with lazy mouse and a few other tools, just kind of sculpting in general, it kind of tends to make stuff lag a bit more. Not a fan. Wish it didn't, but just by turning on solo mode real quick, I can kind of correct some of those laggy problems. So no problem. Trying to blend this even more here. Really trying to get this surface to turn so it's not quite as concave up till this point here where I have this pinch in. Trying to get the surface to turn. Trying to force it. We're getting pretty tight there on the polys though. That's just a natural consequence of pinching in though. but we're not getting any crazy stretching geometry or anything like that. Let's look at bringing out some more form here. Widening some of this. I think I might put that curve a little bit too far back, and I should have kept that a little bit closer. Mainly, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of start to transition that to start being a little bit of a softer shape. And then continue with my trim dynamic brush, building up that form up top. It's really just about looking at this stuff from every angle, rotating around while you're sculpting, getting all over that thing. It would be awesome if we had some other images to reference for this guy, but unfortunately we just have the one. You gotta make do with what we got. Let's see. I think we're doing all right here. And you can see those little different colored patches there. It's because I'm stepping up and down my subdivs. If you remember, I said you don't want to poly paint on your lower subdivs because it will give you artifacts. Your shift smooth brush has RGB turned on, unfortunately. So, whoops. Just give me RGB there so we can come through and, you know, clean that up. You can clean it up manually, or you can just kind of fill it all in if you want to do that, but then I'll lose all that stuff. So just where I kind of notice some of these little artifacts, I'll just kind of quickly paint over very, very fast. I think that's pretty much it for the most part. I also want to mess with this curve a little bit more, kind of really start getting in there. Just trying to get that to follow that shape a little bit better. We're pretty close now. That was weird. Wrong sampled color. Not an issue. And this down here is, it doesn't matter, it's fine, you can just do whatever. Not seen. I think there's some transitional forms that could be a little bit better. We're still getting some harsh shadows in some areas where we don't want them. Let's look here at the scarf. Let's start, get some width here. See what this is looking like. Poking through on the backside, not a problem at all, easy to fix. Kind of want to get these to interact a little bit better, not be so thick. I kind of don't want this to be quite as thick either. If we were going to print this or do something with production though, we'd try to make this as thick as we possibly could while still remaining true to the original concept. Sometimes you gotta make sacrifices in certain areas though, and that might be one of them. Another place might be the wand or some of the fingers, like this forefinger and thumb, and this thumb over here as well. So that stuff might need to be thickened up if you were doing this for production, but we're kind of just sculpting right now, and I'm not super worried about it. So I'm just kind of going crazy. I'm just adding, or I'm sorry, not adding, subtracting some thickness here, just by using my move brush. I'm kind of selecting these groups of vertices. Sliding these in. Fix some of these angles too while we're here. This music is epic. I think Austin's home. Stevie boy. He just lives in the basement, never comes out. He's actually home pretty early. Try to wrap this up here a little bit more. Get that to follow the form of the cheek there. And over here, got that side kind of coming up. Following that. Background guy, yeah, that's right. He's still here. He's actually moving out here shortly at the end of this month. He's moving in with his girlfriend. The background guy. He's a background man now. Let's see. I think it needs to hug the head more. Also, I think that's what Piers was talking about. Yes, I do think it needs to hug the head more as well. Making it wider, it needs to be taller, so it looks squished between the shoulders and head. Yeah, we'll continue to. I'm trying to do this top layer a little bit first right now, and get that to hug the head as closely as I can. I still want this edge out though. I want to. What my plan was, I was planning on doing something like this. A few subdivisions, and then maybe subtracting some parts in here so that I could get a nice shadow. So essentially, did I have poly paint on it? No, it didn't. Okay. Essentially, so that we could get a stronger shadow in there, a little bit more of a cut in. I'll show you guys some once we get closer to that, exactly how I'll do that, but I don't want to add subdivs in here quite yet. I still want to play with the lowest poly form, which is what we got right now. Actually, I might, let's see, one subdiv might not hurt. Might not hurt, right? We'll see. I try to keep things as low poly as I can. Just makes it easier to work with. And I'm just gonna auto group these. I was using those poly groups, I'm not anymore. So let's try what HUD Boy here was saying. Give it a little more height on the bottom, and we can move some of this stuff down too. Really, I think it's going to be more when I go for the pose, wider on this side, more squashed on that side. You know, he's raising up his arm and everything. So we can kind of add a little bit of what that will be once we get to that. Get that angle a little bit better through there. Exactly what I was gonna say. He achieved manhood. I will let him know that that is what you said. Getting some good forms in here. Getting closer. I think I'll mess with this more once we go into posing, because honestly a lot of this is going to change as I turn the head and do some other stuff, so really I don't want it to take up too much time in the neutral. I just want it to be in a good enough place that I can kind of take it from there. Let's see. Adding wrinkles sell the effect, hugging the face more. Yeah, that as well. I think that will do some stuff too. Tell him I say hey, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he'll come upstairs in a little bit. Make some foods or something. Just trying to blend that even more so. It's really catching that shadow there pretty strong. If I move this, might be able to see it a little bit better. I don't move my light too often while I'm sculpting. I move it on occasion. Mainly what I do is just rotate around the model. That also shifts the light, you know, how the shadows are falling on the sculpt. Pretty much what I do. Can do a spooky frog, you know, get that bottom lighting. Now it's a horror stream. So I was trying to get that a little bit tighter up there. Kind of lost, since I started blending that up, we've kind of lost the roundness of the cheeks. That effect that we were getting. That's because we kind of blended that up through there a little bit too much, I think. Let's just try to retain some of that, just a little bit. Macabre. Macabre? Macabre is your... Corn on the cob, macabre is your weakness. There was a spooky challenge over on our Discord channel. Should have joined. I made a quick little doodle. It was nothing crazy. Spent an hour after I announced the challenge. And just took a head I had sculpted and turned it into a little bit more spooker of a character. I don't know if you meant weakness as in you love it. That's what I took it as. Either way, if it's not, you gotta face your fears. Exposure, you know, that's how you get through all your fears. Unless it's like heights or something, you can't do that. That stuff's too scary. So if I don't think I've mentioned this recently. The solo key down here, that's how I'm kind of toggling that stuff off really quickly. I recommend setting a hotkey to that. It's actually one of the things that's kind of improved my workflow more than any other hotkey, other than my quick pop-up menu that you guys see me pull up all the time. Solo mode, I use the G key just because it's easy to reach. It's close to F and all the other stuff that I'm constantly using. I keep my hand in the same place on the keyboard so that I can kind of hit all my hotkeys at once, and I never have to move my hand, just for convenience. Get a little bit more volume in those cheeks. I'm getting there. Looking better. I think once we, I don't know if it's this form down here. There's a few things that are sticking out to me. It's a matter of time. Time and patience, and we will get them all. Alright. What else, guys? What else we got going on? Let's turn everything back on. Whoop. Super bad at finishing things. Yeah, that's pretty common. A lot of people just start a bunch of new projects. Why finish one when you can start 10 more? There's like half a drop in that. Super bad at getting involved in communities? Yeah, jumping over. We're doing a new challenge. I don't think I've mentioned it here on stream. In the ZBrush community that I'm the admin on Discord. You can join that by going to the About page on my YouTube channel and checking that out. Do a quick render there, I wasn't paying attention. And yeah, we do a new challenge called ZBrush Saturday. Every week there's a new challenge. You spend the whole week working on it. Everybody posts their stuff on Saturday, and it's community voted. So whatever gets the most votes gets featured and gets forever posted on the announcements page. So every week we do a new thing, and then you guys can vote on what you want to pick. Yeah, I know, HUD Boy. I know you're on the Discord. You just gotta play. Just gotta play that ZBrush. No, I don't want to like pressure anybody. You know, only participate if you got time and if you want to. I think things are looking pretty good in terms of everything that we've built up to this point. We got to continue though with all our stuff here. We got some beautiful little stars in there. These stars are a little bit faster. I just added the default alpha in there. If we want to change that, it won't be too difficult though. let's jump into transpose here. I want to, I just want to rotate my feet out a little bit. That is a sight to see. That is a sight to behold. I kind of want to figure out what we want to do with those eyes too, since they're so derpy looking. Whoops. Just trying to make a clean selection there. And come on here, roughly in the middle. And rotate those out. I'll be just making sure that that is okay. I will be doing more with these feet later. We don't actually have a body in here, as you can clearly see. But that's just our secret. What I'm gonna do is just kind of fill in the hole on the bottom here underneath the little wizard cloak and play with it more. Let's just rotate our hat. Let's just start getting a feel for this a little bit more. Like I was mentioning earlier, the hat, the way the wand is and the scarf, we're gonna have to figure some of these things out, how we want to play with them. There are some things that are just not possible. And perspective's a little wonky on some of these things. It's whatever though. We will make do. It kind of sounded like Zelda's Lullaby. Like a rock version of Zelda's Lullaby. Whoops. Mainly I just kind of wanted to rotate the boots out there and the pants a little bit. I haven't messed with my hands in a while either. I wanted to scale the palm down. There's just like a lot of stuff on the list. Sometimes I'll, for each session, I'll make a written list of stuff I want to do. I didn't do that though before I jumped on stream. So I don't have my list of things that I want to do. So really I'm just going to kind of jump around. Whatever's really sticking out to me, I'm going to try to clean up and fix. Our fingers are in proportionally to the rest of our stuff we got going on are close to the correct length. Our hands are just a tad too big though, so we'll be shrinking that down. I still got a bunch of polygroups in here from just dynameshing. Not a problem though. Let's start cleaning this up. Just making sure my undos are checked there. Alright, so just kind of shrinking down this palm. Whoops, wrong selection tool. Like that select lasso. Playing 3D printing problems. That doesn't sound like fun. If you want to hear a cool metal remix of Zelda, check out Family Jewels. Super cool dude. Makes a ton of awesome video game music covers. I will check it out, absolutely. I have it open in another tab, and I will check it out later off of stream. I love Zelda music. I love Koji, like pretty much anything Koji Kondo makes. I'm not embarrassed to admit I learned how to play guitar off of Zelda music, so there we go. That's out in the open now. I'm kind of just removing this thumb so that when I kind of start to scale some stuff, we're not just scaling this thumb too. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Do this smart and clean. I originally, these are just the broken part of the fingers that were attached there so that I can blend those fingers a little bit better. This should work just as fine though. I might have to redo some junk. I don't have symmetry on for that. That's okay. Just delete that. Fix all this junk really fast. Because I didn't have X symmetry turned on. Should be back to normal though. Okay. So if I scale this with X symmetry on, it's going to scale towards the central axis. Just turn on local sim. It'll scale a lot easier, a lot better. A lot more uniformly. Clean up this a little bit. Getting to listen to the Ocarina of Time soundtrack now. Got my girlfriend to play through the game with me. That sounds like fun. Ocarina of Time was a great game back in the day. I don't think it holds up quite as well. I played the 3DS remake, and I got pretty far. I think I got to Ganon's Castle, and then I never ended up finishing it. Finishing the deed. But yes, I love Ocarina of Time. Like I said, I just don't think it holds up quite as well. Breath of the Wild is pretty dope though. Kind of manually, just kind of want to see what these are looking like in relation to everything else. I'm gonna also make the hand a little bit more narrow here. A little bit more squashed, I should say. think I mentioned this on a previous stream. Sculpting hands sucks. That's why I did it off of stream. But now I'm, you know, making changes to them. It's alright. Your copy of Breath of the Wild got stolen. That sucks. You like the game since it was a Zelda game, but not necessarily because the game itself was super impressive. It had a lot in it, but not for such a large world. Yeah. I can definitely see how you feel that way. That's why I personally hate Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout. I hate all those games. I think they're actually garbage. I think they're bad games. They sacrifice too much quality for quantity, and I don't even know how people that are, you know, most of the people that like those games are, you know, like 30, like around 30. Like I feel like that's like, you know, an older male gamer, not older, but male gamer, you know, late 20s, early 30s is like, those are the people that love that game, but they're also the people that have no fucking time to play that game. But yeah, I just think they sacrifice too much quality for quantity, which is why I'm not a fan. I can see why people like them, but I think it sounds like you kind of feel the same about Breath of the Wild, which I can understand. Trying to just make this transition a little bit harder into the hand so that when I blend this, it's gonna look a little bit better, a little bit more clean. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'll try to remember exactly what happened. It's been so long since I played Skyrim, but you know, I got Skyrim because everybody, you know, is so freaking hyped for it. So I'm like, sure, let's Skyrim it up. And the part where you like get out of the cave, and I'm pretty sure, because like the dragon events in that game are like completely random. The first city I went to, or not city, first little town I went to, was being attacked by a dragon, and the combat system in that game just makes me so just so disappointed. It's so bad. And like, all you had to do was like kite the dragon the whole time, and sure, it took a long time to kill, but like, it wasn't fun. And then the final like boss dragon of that game was such a disappointment, because by that time you just like walk up to it and you just go right trigger, and you like swing your sword at it 3 times and then it dies, and it's like, you did it, you beat the time dragon. It's like, okay, cool, I guess that was fun. They I don't know, in terms of role-playing games, what are some other awesomely popular role-playing games like that? I've always really wanted to play Red Dead Redemption, but I never had a PS3, which I believe is the only thing that's on. It might be on PC as well. But that seems like a game that does not sacrifice quantity for quality. And I believe that's Rockstar, and you know, Rockstar makes a lot of a lot of those types of games like GTA. They have their own problems though, of course. Hudboy, you'd be impressed to know that Austin is still working on that game that he was working on so long ago when we used to stream together. He's still working on it, and I think he's planning on releasing it this year, around August. Once it gets closer, I'll probably share it with you guys. It's called Match Point. You can look it up on Steam if you want. It's pretty cool. It's not out yet though. Let's see here. You have a gaming background dev-wise. I used to do some game dev back in the Dizzle. Your opinions run deeper, just not a great place to discuss. It's on PS3, 360, and Xbox One. I didn't think Red Dead was on Xbox 360. I didn't know that. But yeah, Red Dead is definitely one I wanted to check out. Still kind of do. I feel like at this point, though, just wait till they make a new one. I don't really have too much time that I devote towards gaming anymore. Pretty much all I play right now is an occasional Hearthstone game on my phone. Play some Arena. And I play Rocket League every once in a while, too. And of course, Smash. I really like competitive games. Might scale these even more. I'm just trying to line up some geometry. I'm gonna make these hands probably... Right now they're larger than in the concept, but I think I want to make our palm here a little shorter. I still have these as low poly pieces, so I can recover those subdivs, but I don't care. Dynamesh them. Probably. Let me try 1K. See what we can do here. What do you think so far about Smash Ultimate? I think it's not going to be as good as Melee. It's not going to be as competitive as Melee. I think it's going to play very similarly to Smash 4. I think shields are going to be way overpowered, much like they are in Smash 4. Rolling will not be as strong, just because they slightly nerfed the ability so that if you roll a bunch, you start to roll less and less as you go. I'm still gonna get it though, because I have a Switch and I love Smash Bros. I think it'll be a really good party game. I don't think it'll be a great competitive game, but you know, I think the people that like Smash 4 a lot will like this. Will like Smash Ultimate a lot. I will probably play it competitively slightly, like in the beginning. Get a feel for it. I don't think I'll like fall in love with it though. But you know, who knows? From what I've seen, that's what this scenario looks like right now. But that might change in the coming months till December when it comes out. But, you know, the way that Nintendo's kind of gone with that series, our Lord and Savior Sakurai, he, I don't think they really care or follow the competitive scene very much. And, you know, that's very apparent based on, like, the entire goal of this game was to put as many characters in it as they possibly could. Like, that's like the whole thing. It's like everyone's here. Like, so, you know, the point of that, like, game, they're trying to sell as many copies as they can, and the more characters they have in there, you know, the more likely someone's like, my character, I have to get it. And it just makes it, you know, raises the hype even more. Except for our purple hero. He didn't make the cut, as far as we know. He's not in. But Austin's been playing Mario Tennis, and he's like Waluigi's the bad guy in that one, I think. One of the bad guys. I'm still excited to play it though. Either way. Why do you consider Melee to be a better competitive game than Smash 4? If you have played both competitively, I think it's very obvious. Smash 4 is much slower. You have less options. And the skill ceiling of Smash Melee is way higher than Smash 4. I think it's objectively a better competitive game. And I think there's like many reasons for that. I've played both competitively, and I originally played Smash 4 competitively and then switched to Melee. I could feel like I had a fighting chance against some like players in Smash 4. But in Smash Melee, like, you're gonna get absolutely bodied by a pro Melee player. They're literally going to just shine spike you off the stage, just like double shine, fox, wave dash, shine, and carry you off the stage. The skill ceiling is just, in my opinion, so much higher. I think that's really the main thing. Trying to smooth these out, and I am not getting what I want. Not a big deal. Just kind of leave that. I've only played 4 competitively, but I work at a company that runs a tourney. It's pretty fun. Yeah, Smash 4 is just so slow. It really is. Switch between the two. Another reason Smash 4 isn't as competitive as Melee is because hit stun is so low, and I think that's a thing that they're kind of screwing up in Smash Ultimate as well. They're making hit stun like even worse for follow-ups. What's so great, one of the things that's so great about Melee is you have so many options at any point, to the extent that if you hit a player up in the air and they get, depending on their percent, they get stuck in hit stun for a little bit, and then from there you can essentially follow that up. But there's directional influence and smash directional influence, so DI and smash DI, which are 2 different mechanics in the game that can affect the trajectory of your character. So at any point you hit a character, that person at a high level knows about these 2 mechanics in the game that aren't inherently known by, you know, people that just play it casually, and create some directional influence to, you know, a certain direction of a 360-degree angle, and then the player has to react based on how they react to being hit, and that creates interesting situations where there are, you know, when a player gets hit on the ground, they have a tech option, left, right, or center. You have to manually do that in Melee, and it's a lot shorter window, a lot harder to do than in Smash 4. but that is comparable to a player getting hit in the air, and there's all these different options for how that can happen. And if a player is good enough, they can kind of read the opponent, know that they're trying to get away, so they're going to DI away, and then kind of follow that up with multiple aerial moves, and then, you know, fast falling and L canceling before they hit the ground to cut their aerial. Like, there's just so much. There's so many advanced techniques that like go into it that make it so much more competitive. I mean, I could literally talk about this stuff like all night, but I would say like try to get into the try to play like Melee competitively compared to Smash 4. Like I feel like I can just like pick up Smash 4 at any point and like be good enough to like play in a tourney. But like Melee, I got to freaking practice for months before I could feel like I could play in a tournament. What about the imbalance with the characters? There's a little bit of some rock, paper, scissors mechanics in all the Smash games. It makes a big point as to whether something is better as a competitive game. Yeah, you know, there's imbalances in characters, but that creates, I think, interesting situations. So, for example, you know, Jigglypuff, nobody thought Jigglypuff was a great character until one person came around, Hungrybox, and, you know, proved everybody wrong. Nobody thought Peach was a great character in Smash Melee until, you know, one person came along and proved everybody wrong and showed that this character could be competitive. And one of the main reasons that is not because, you know, that character's super great. One of the main reasons is actually because a lot of people gravitate towards a certain select member of particular fighters, like Fox and Falco and Sheik are kind of the top three. Sheik and then Marth below them. Top 3 or 4 in Melee. And they play, so people competitively play against those characters a lot. And they have a lot of information on them, what percents they can kill them at with what moves. And then somebody comes in and they're playing Peach all of a sudden. It's like, wow, I've never played Peach that often at a competitive level. And all of a sudden this guy is kicking your Fox's butt with a Peach. And Peach is a pretty hard counter to Fox in general. So there's some ways around that. I don't think that, you know, when you have like Pichu and stuff like that, I think Pichu's kind of a jokey character, but you know, there are situations that are really fun when a competitive Melee player like Mewtwo King is known for bodying people with Pichu, sorry. Just because it's such a bad character, it's like low of the lows. I think Kirby's the lowest in Melee though. But it's just like beating someone with this character that's using Fox and you beat them with a Pichu, it's like, wow, they are that much better than you. It just like shows how large that skill gap even is. It's like, I can use any character and I can still destroy you. I think that stuff is pretty cool. I think that adds to the game. I think I'm happy with the hands for now. Talking a lot about some Smash there, but we've done some sub-divs in here. We've got them to a little bit of a scaled down place, and I might mess with that a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know what we want to focus on next. I was thinking about maybe playing around with some of this stuff in the sleeves. I haven't really decided. I think I'll start to add in some curved tubes, and I might start to create a brush that can insert this detail here, these little triangles. So we can look at that briefly and see what we can do. Let's create that brush first, because I don't think I've made an insert brush. Well, I might have made an insert brush on here during this stream. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. The problem I have with Melee is that even though I agree with what you're saying, but anyone who wants to be viable is relying on tier whoring as well as skill with those specific characters. Yeah, I mean, that's true like all competitive games. You know, people rely on the tier, like play better characters in Smash Brawl, Smash 64, Smash, you know, any fighting game. Melee has a smaller cast, so it might be more apparent in there. But you know, that's gonna be in all games. Always play the best if you can. I don't necessarily feel that way. I like to play the character that I think is the best. In Smash 4, I think Sheik is the best character that I played. Sheik and Mario were the best characters that I played when it first came out. But I did not get to play with the DLC of Bayonetta, and everything I've heard is that Bayonetta is completely broken, and everything I've seen about it with the like 30% like carry kills off the top of the blast zone are pretty ridiculous, and that kind of sucks. So, you know, no game's, you know, perfect from that standpoint. That kind of stuff is in all games, you know. Everybody picks, you know, Bayo, Diddy Kong, I think Cloud and Sheik are all up there, and Mario's like right below them in the next tier down. So in Melee you can't main Link, it's a death sentence. In 4 he's viable even with his disadvantages. You know, I think Link's pretty low tier in Melee, and you know, if you like Link a lot and you really want to play Link, like, then go for it. I don't play Smash Bros to like because I have an affinity for a specific character. I think that's what a lot of people do. I really don't understand that. I don't play Sheik because I like Zelda. I play Sheik because I like the way Sheik feels to play. That's the reason I play Sheik in Smash, in Melee. I play Fox not because he's like the best character in the game. I play it because of the way he feels. I actually think that Falco is a better character than Fox in Melee. People are like, they constantly kind of flip-flop on whether they think who's better. I think Falco's better, but I like to play Fox more. Just because of my playstyle and the way he feels to play, and some of the different techs that he has. But if you like really want to play Link in Smash Melee, I think you can. I just think Melee's a really fucking hard game. I think it's one of the hardest games I've ever played. That and Rocket League are like the 2 hardest games I think that exist in terms of skill caps. It's just such a high skill ceiling. But yeah, I don't know. I have like, I think I have 500 hours in Smash 4, like just on the 3DS, and I also have it on my Wii U. So like, I've played Smash 4 a lot. Like, I played Smash 4 a lot before I switched to Melee. It's not like I'm just like, oh yeah, Melee's the best game, I only play Melee. Like, I played a lot of Smash 4. I want to make a curve brush out of this triangle of geometry. So what I'm going to do is grab a brush, create an insert mesh, new, and let's see here. I'm just trying to make a brush real quick, and then we're going to try to find the correct settings that we want here. Let's hide that for a sec. So I'm going to go into my stroke settings, turn on curve mode, and what that's going to allow me to do is draw these out along a certain pattern. And actually, what we need to do is take our little triangle here and rotate 90 degrees. So make a new create insert mesh brush, new. Should work this time. So whoops, I want that. Curve mode, let me see here. So that is correct, I just got to stroke the right way. Make this a little bit bigger here. Let's look at our reference. So, figure out the scale here too. Whoa. A little bit too big. Another thing we're going to want to do probably is go to brush depth and raise this up a little bit. I think that should help that problem. You can see how it was kind of going into the geometry there. I think that looks better. They're kind of floating on top right now. Why are those that's not good. These are unbridged for some reason. What's going on? I think there's a problem with our polygroups, so I'm just going to polygroup all that's visible here. And we'll make one more. I'm just going to make that thicker. I think that'll help us too. Let's undo that. So just some back and forth here. Insert mesh. Turn on curve mode. Much better. So our curve step is set to 1. That means it's going to take a step for the length of this object. I think that's exactly what we want based on what I'm seeing here. Kind of want to squash these triangles a little bit too. So we're getting closer to what we want. A little bit more squashed. And I think that'll put us in a good place. And I'll do like another piece of trim around the edge to get that, which I can do with my curve tube. I think that'll be pretty good. For the bottom down here, I'll just have to do I don't know. Probably just do the same thing. I might paint these. Those were my two options. I was going to manually add the trim in, or I was going to paint it. I was going to try to add them in first, though. So I don't know. We'll play with it. You suck at Rocket League? Yeah, Rocket League is really hard. I think I have like 400 hours in Rocket League, and I don't play it as often as I used to. When it first came out, I played it all the time. But like I still have some of those residual skills. Like I'm only in like Diamond when I do play. But if I would have continued to play, I could have been in whatever's above Diamond. I think it's Grand Champ or something, or Champion or something like that. You only turned the game on twice. Yeah, you did play some. That's right. So I think we got one brush here for the possibility of this geometry down here. So this one, and then we'll also use this to create an insert mesh. New. So I am going to use these two, curve mode. So I have those two brushes now. So I'm just going to export those so I have those saved, and I can apply those whenever I need. So you can export those by going into your brush menu, making sure you have that selected brush, and just click Save As. I could actually make an insert multi-mesh. I think that's a better idea, so we only have one brush to deal with. So I'm going to say create insert multi-mesh, and it should I've appended it to something else. I think it just created an insert mesh of every single one of my subtools. I don't want that. Create insert mesh, append to my current brush. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so now I have, sorry. If I press the M key, I can choose between these two options. That is what I wanted. Okay. Awesome. So now I have one brush where I can create both of those two shapes and insert that on there. So I am saving as my specific brush that I'm using right now. And I'll just call it triangle brush or something real quick. Triangle brush and stuff. Alright, cool. So we got that. Is there anything else you guys specifically want to see before I hop on out of here? There's some other stuff I want to take a look at later, but I gotta go here shortly. next 10 minutes or so. So if you guys have any questions or want to see anything specific, please shout it out in the chat, and I'll kind of just jump around here for the next few and work on a couple different things. I've been thinking about what I'm gonna do with this cloth to split it. I think the easiest way is to just try to either cut along one of these seams here and then like just close up holes and stuff. That, or just kind of split it and do it manually. I already have this clean geo though, so I feel like I should use it. Just kind of annoying sometimes. So let's clean it up, get it to a good place. Something we can split off. So essentially what I'm going to do... Oh, you know what? You know what? I'm so stupid. You guys know I'm dumb. We are going to split this very easily with the Q-Mesh brush. You can just Q-Mesh these out. It's going to make it really easy for us. Just swipe on up here, grab a few of these, Q-Mesh, and they're all gone. Essentially that does like a few different operations tied into it. It deletes polygons. We can move that over too, more towards the center. It deletes polygons, and then it very cleanly welds. It welds those holes shut for you, bridging those gaps. Very, very nice. Love that tool. Alright, Q-Mesh a little bit better here. Sometimes Q-Mesh doesn't work the way you want it to, or the way you think it should work. It's pretty finicky. So, just gotta get it to work, play around with it. That was quite a bit easier than I thought it would be. I'm not going to add in these parts until after I pose, because it's just going to be a lot of moving around of stuff, and it's just going to be a waste to place those and remove them around. I'm pretty much just going to probably copy them from the boots. It's the same geometry, just different colors, so I can grab those. But I'm just going to play with getting this into a better place here, so we don't see the empty body down there. I want to look at that. But we're getting closer to a good place where we can maybe start doing some posing. Break sim and go there. And then use that brush that I made. Possibly, or maybe some poly painting. I don't know. I don't know what's going to look better. I kind of like working with geometry a little bit more, just because you have more control than you do with poly paint. You have more options. You have all your different brushes and tools that you can use. Create some really clean, clean triangles here. I was planning on just filling in this bottom area as well. I mentioned that earlier. I don't want to do that quite yet though. Probably wait till pose as well for that. The main thing I'm concerned about before we go into posing is mainly just the face. I want to make sure that the face is as good as it can possibly be before I break symmetry. Other than that though, I think everything else is ready for breaking symmetry. The only other thing I might want to... Well, no, not even that. I was going to say the only other thing I might want to do is blend in my sleeves into my cloak, but I think I'll do that after I break sim as well. It's just going to be easier. Other than that, yeah, just the face. tweak this just a little bit more here. Make sure that there's no really general angles that I can kind of see through this. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give this a save. Just a quick save for now. And I think that's going to be a good place to stop. I'll probably play with this a little more off of stream, but I would like to do some posing on stream so you guys can see some of that. I think that'll be interesting and fun. But yeah, other than that, thanks for coming and hanging out, guys. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, but if you guys are interested in my new course, there's a link down in the description, or if you're interested in some critiques or mentorship, I am offering that on my Patreon, which is also down in the description. That's a new thing that I'm doing. So if either of those sound nifty, sound cool to you, check them out, links down below, and I will see you guys in the next stream, hopefully tomorrow. Save that again. Can't stop noodling. Alright guys, thanks for coming. Hope you have a good night, good day, whatever you got going on. And HUD boy, I know you're here. Vlad posts something that I can't read in another language. I'm gonna guess maybe Russian. I have no idea. But thanks guys for coming and hanging out. I'll see you later. Toodles.